As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, and as wonderful an attorney as I am, please do note that anything said in our show are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances, the Other F Word. And going into the holiday season of 2022, I really want to talk about what it is to increase your money game and the aspect of doing it from a couple different angles. Number one, cutting through the bullshit that you see on social media, cutting through people who you can clearly tell they don't know what they're talking about. And also starting to put a financial plan together for yourself so that you can have a better understanding of where your pitfalls are with money so that you can address them. And the fourth thing seems very surprising, but it's actually one of the most important things, which is the reason why the kickoff to this series is this exact thing. And today on the show, I have my good friend and doctor in metaphysics, Annie Emprima-Martin. Now, when we're talking about money, there's a whole bunch of emotions that come around with it. So if you just sit for a second and you just think of what would I do if I had $1 million in my account right now, that whatever you feel in that instant, whether it's like, oh shit, or if it's like, oh shit, that's what we're talking about, because money is very emotional. And so Annie is going to help us wade through how to make sure that you get your mental money game right so that you can be in a position that, as I'm teaching you ways that you can start getting yourself in a better position financially with physical things, you can make sure that you're always keeping your energy in the right spot. So thank you for coming on, Annie. And with all that stuff in mind, what is the most what is your most important thing that you think that people miss out on when they're thinking of money?
When they're thinking of money, they're usually trying to fill a void of something. That's the core. So the fear, the I don't have enough, I am not enough. That's the core. It's the other side of that is I am worthy enough, I have enough, I'm going to grow financially and have financial abundance. But we have to first move through the fear before we can get to the love of growing money.
So does everybody start out with fear? Because it seems like most everybody does have some type of fear when it comes to money, or some type of fear around money, either not having it or having too much debt or something of that case. So is that just always kind of like the first, you have the 6 stages of grief and you always have to go through the first fucking stage first. So is everybody just bound to be scared of money on some level?
Not everyone, not in absolutes, but if we look at statistically, far greater numbers operate from a place of fear than operate from a place of respect and love for money. Very few of us grew up in upper middle class, but lower wealth, high net worth zone, where we saw our parents have a respect for money and a healthy growth with money and strategic movement with money. Majority of us did not have that. So we're coming in without the structural foundation for the respect and love of money, and we're trying to recreate that, which also means we have to move through the fear of what we didn't have before we can build the strategy and the structure to develop the foundation for what we want.
So it sounds like if I was somebody who, if I was Bezos' kid or Gates' kid or something of that nature, that I probably wouldn't have that inherent fear of money because I've always been around it, I've always had it. And so for me, my view of money is skewed. But when you get down to the 99% of us out here who are trying their best to get the fuck out of the 99%, that's when, we're dealing more times than not with the fear or the lack of the fear of money. So you're literally trying to attract the one thing that you fear that you're not going to get. So it's like, sounds like it's like this vicious cycle. So let's just start for somebody who's starting with ground zero, and let's really start zoning in on the emotions. When you don't have money, you want to do, usually in my experience, two things. You want to go spend money when you don't have it, or every time a bill comes, even if it's a small bill, $20, $10, something like that. Every time a bill comes, you do this, like your asshole clenches, right? Because you're like, don't be on some bullshit. You know what I mean? When I open this envelope, or this fucking email, like don't be on some bullshit. So how do you start combating that? Because everybody's going to have bills. Rich people got bills. So how do you start being aware of that emotion and nipping it at the bud from that very kind of preliminary start?
Well, when we can't compare lower middle class and lower class to the wealthy when it comes to bills, right? $1,000 bill to me today is like, I just spent $1,000 on clothes. But $1,000 to me 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago was like suffocating, like, fuck. Like, there was a lot more physiological response to what happened in my body because I wasn't in a place where I had a space of abundance for that to move through. It hit like a tornado or tsunami hits. So we have to recognize the perspective first. So if we look at stepping back and recognizing that the way we view money. So let's say we open up a bill at $20, and $20 when we have zero in the bank is not $20. That now turns into probably $100 after the bank fees and the overdraft fees.
Overdrafts, right?
So, and we recognize that. So then our response is amplified because we know that the consequences are going to be amplified to that bill getting paid. We have to step back, and as counterintuitive as it is, when we're in that place of physical a lack of resources, we have to step back and say, okay, I don't know what the answer is, but the answer will come to me. I will attract the answer to this, which is not the answer always for people who are avoiding the hard work to solve the problem. But if you are actively solving the problem when you get hit like that, to change the way we see it. Okay, here's another lesson for me to practice how to respond to this bill. I have the opportunity to take this $20 bill and to change the way I vibrate to this bill, which that's a metaphysics perspective. It's not going to be a certified financial planner's perspective, but we have to change the energy first. We have to change the way we respond to the stimuli before we can change the stimuli.
So it's interesting because when you talked about how through different times of your life, and I see this all the time in my industry, money's going to mean different things to you. Mm-hmm. So if you got a windfall of money, it might be the most money you've ever had, but in reality, to maybe somebody else, it's not that much, or to you a couple years from now, it's not going to be that much or whatever. But what's interesting in what you said is that a lot of people think that when they get rich or when they finally get money, that it's going to change everything. And let me tell you that your fear just switches teams. And so I've worked with people who have came to me with XYZ dollars, and their risk tolerance was ultra conservative, and they were terrified of investing into the market. They had no idea where they were going, right? And then, so we've worked with them, and we've done stuff for them. And then what ends up happening is that then the market goes balls out, right? And then now the market's just running like fucking crazy. Now, all of a sudden, these people who I had to pull by their teeth into an investment that fits their risk tolerance, now all of a sudden they want to do crazy shit, crazy off the wall shit. And then when you try to explain to them, look, whoa, take fucking, calm down. You need to step back, because what you're talking about is ultra speculative, and that is not what your risk tolerance is. And so then what they start doing is that they get a little more, and then now they think that because they've had a good run, that now, oh, they're not this moderate conservative investor, now that they're okay doing ultra speculative stuff, and they're not. And the thing is that the minute the market turns, all of a sudden they're back to their old, oh God, I didn't want to lose any money. Okay, well, control your fucking emotions, you guys. This is the stuff that I'm telling you about. Because when you work with any type of financial professional, there's only so much they can do. Like, you could go to your doctor and your doctor can say, stop smoking, but he's not going to follow you around and smack a cigarette out of your hand every time you pick up a fucking cigarette, right? So the thing is that when you're listening to things like me telling you, this is how you start from zero and this is how you start building, which is what the focus of this, and Annie is the kickoff of that. You guys need to understand that your emotions are never going to you're never going to conquer them, in the sense that it's just going to flip-flop. And so if you think that you're immune to it at some point in the future, you're never going to be immune to it, because I guess we're just always fearful creatures.
I had an economics teacher back in my baccalaureate degree who said he had the argument that money was an amplifier. If you have broken habits when you're poor, if you were to win a lot of money, you're going to have even bigger broken habits. So when those breaks hit, they're going to hit harder. If we don't have that healthy respect for money in learning how to use it properly, we're going to continue having broken responses to our efforts.
And we've talked about that on this show before in a much different way, where I basically said that I was having an argument with my best friend, and I told her, she said that she thinks money makes you an asshole, and I said no. The money allows you to be a bigger asshole.
Yeah, you are already the asshole.
You were already an asshole, and now you could be just a bigger asshole because you have money. And so the thing is that, and I see that a lot of times with people, and when we're talking about the thing that's going on, we're looking at a market that has been, doing a steady clip. We see inflation is starting to rear its head, but we've seen a ton of money that's been pumped into the economy. And so what we're seeing within this social media culture that has been developed is that there's a lot of really bad information out there of people who are not in a position to give financial information, where they are more concerned about feeding, and Annie knows more about the ego than I do, about feeding the ego. Like, look at my 30-second TikTok where I'm telling you about some stock and I'm getting in some bullshit type of car and I'm in this nice suit and I look like a total douchebag, but I have the outward appearance of looking like I have money. And the thing is that on social media, you can create whoever you are, and the lucky ones are just who they are, and hopefully people like them, right? And so the thing is that when we're in this hyper FOMO environment, and on top of it, and I know that people in my industry don't like me saying this, but this is the honest truth, there are people in my industry you need to watch out for.
Every industry.
Every industry. And the thing is that when you compound that with all of this information coming to you from all sides that know exactly how to market to you to trigger your follow or to trigger your share or to trigger your comment, because they are playing on, like we talked about in the OK Karen episode, where I talked about how the Karen videos, although a lot of them, they're legit bitches, right? But a lot of them can be as a wrapper of misogyny. And so the thing is that it's always parading as something else. And so when we're looking at the stuff that we're seeing, I don't care if you're reading it in Bloomberg, I don't care if you're watching some jackass on social media, I don't care if you're watching me. If you're hearing something, you need to be able to get your antennas up to decipher between the bullshit. And that is something that's going to come with learning and understand the basics of money. But your emotions are something nobody can help you with. I mean, Annie, but I mean, other than that, like, nobody can step into my head and be like, Mel, stop tripping.
Or Annie.
Yeah, or Annie.
I can.
Yeah, and so, well, I mean, she tells me not to trip, but I do anyway, because I do what I want. But
I can tell you anything you want. Do you believe it? Do you act on it? That's different.
Yeah, and so it's going to be really important for you guys to get your mental game right in 2022. We're coming off
huge.
And is there an energy shift going on or anything like that, Annie? Or
there is. There's a lot of things happening, and it's coming back. It's coming down to clearing trauma, which when we talk finances, we very rarely include trauma in those conversations, but trauma is so interwoven in how we spend and save and grow our money. It is so interwoven, but it's that third variable that we don't want to talk about. We think, okay, we make more money, or we spend less, or we make more. Those are the two variables. We don't think about that emotional side, that third variable. And in psychology, that's a term, third variable. It's the hidden third cause of something happening. So, like, for instance, if a bunch of storks show up in your town, and every time storks show up, like the birds, right, and they show up in your town, and 9 months later there's a bunch of babies, you can say, oh, it's the storks that brought the babies, right? Like, this is the sort of old belief system, this old wives' tale thing, that the storks bring the babies. But perhaps the birds are coming in because of atmospheric changes, which also brings in the Navy folks and the Navy folk, right? So more ships at port, which means more men sleeping with women, impregnating the women, right? So it's not the storks that had that direct cause for the increase in population, but that the storks were also part of the same reason that the seamen, no pun intended, came in as well.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, right?
Seamen.
So what is the third variable? And sometimes it's the emotions, it's the stuff we don't want to talk about, that we keep pushing to the side, saying that's not important when it really is important.
So when we're talking about trauma, like when you say trauma, I'm thinking that, like, somebody getting their ass beat, right, by a parent or something really fucked up like that. So, but trauma can be something mild. So like for me, I was raised by my grandparents, and they severely disliked everyone with money. And, and we've all heard this. I mean, if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or if you've read literally any fucking money book, they all talk about how your parents have instilled certain beliefs in your system, that money's hard to get, that the people who have a lot of money have done it off the backs of other people. And so it makes this loop of, okay, if I get money, I'm bad. And then I'm bad for wanting money. So then I'm trying to attract money because I want to have a better life, but then I keep cycling, and then I get caught up in this vicious cycle. And
the guilt loop. You get put into a guilt loop. Like, I want this, but I can't have that because that's bad to have, but I really want this. And you're in a guilt loop. So
would that be considered like a trauma? Or are we talking like literally, like going back to my example, you were abused as a child?
No, that's a very extreme example of trauma. But trauma, let's say trauma to a 6-year-old, maybe your parents didn't have enough money to be able to send you on the school field trip with the other elementary school kids. So to a 6-year-old, that could be very traumatic, that you weren't worthy enough to be a part of the group, even though your parents had no control at the time to affect an increase in their finances to afford for you to go. So to a 6-year-old, that can be very traumatic, and that can be this internal programming in the mind that says, I'm not worthy of being like the rest of my peers who progress forward in their finances. And so we get that faulty programming embedded because of something that was traumatic to a 6-year-old, that to an adult we're not going to respond the same way because we understand the complexity of finances very differently.
And that goes down to imposter syndrome.
Huge.
Right?
Huge.
And, and I've kind of touched on this on previous shows, and, whatever, we're all fucking friends here, and judge me if you want to, I don't give a shit. I do give a shit, but don't tell me. And even if you tell me, I don't give a shit. Either way, I'll get over it. But
she doesn't give a shit.
But the thing is, I've had multiple conversations with Annie where I'm like, Annie, I just feel like I'm never going to be successful. And, and Annie being my friend and also doing what she does, she's like, okay, jackass. She's like, you've written a book. You have, 370 episodes out for your show. You're extremely hot, which, all of that is true, and you've, you have your own business. You went through a lawsuit. And she's like, so anybody that goes through all of that stuff and comes out on the other side, that makes you pretty amazing. And I do this every time I go, yeah, but I don't know.
Not enough.
I just feel like it's not, but anybody could do that. And then she always goes, well, if anybody could do it, everybody would be doing it. And so the reason why I'm pointing that out is because that directly comes into imposter syndrome. And I'm not afraid to tell you guys, well, I am afraid to tell you guys, but I'm gonna do it fucking anyway, because that's me behind a microphone for some reason. I am afraid of being an imposter. You know, I have a CFP. I've been in the industry since I was 18 years old, and I suffer with imposter syndrome a lot. And it is me trying to work on me to let myself know that, no, you are worthy. You have done this a long time. You do know your shit. You do deserve all of this stuff. And, you know, it's an ongoing struggle. So if any of you listeners out there are feeling the same way, fucking hit me up, because it is not a good, comfortable feeling. And the thing is that when we're looking at the difference between the 99% and the 1%, which for those of you who have listened to the show know that that's my big thing, is I want to close that gap between the 99% and the 1%. And yes, a lot of it's knowledge, but a lot of it is the fact that they just think different. And
very differently.
And this
very
is
differently.
hard as fuck, you guys. But this is something that needs to be done if you guys want to get to the next level. And I don't know what it is you might be tripping over, but I will guarantee you that anybody who's listening to this right now, you have some type of hang up with money. And it has something to do with something that's in your past. And whether you know it or not, that is prohibiting you in some way from getting your attraction of money on. And that's why this topic is so important. And I know it seems a little off kilter of what it is we normally talk about on this show, but I'm telling you guys, this shit is real. This shit is real. People think different who have money. They thought different before they got the money. Now, if it turned them into, you know, if it made them assholes after the fact, or it, you know, it amplified that personality trait, that's not something we can talk about. But I want you guys to really feel the stuff that Annie's talking about. Because this is real. This is real talk, you know? So
I want to add a question, Mel.
Yeah.
When, for your audience, when we, and I'll include myself, have this goal that we want to achieve this big thing, this big, fat, hairy, audacious goal, we may have that, and the path may seem very clear logically, like this is how we go, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this. But the core question is, do you believe you deserve it? Do you believe that you deserve reaching that goal?
So for listeners out there right now, what is something that they can ask themselves right now to gauge exactly what they're feeling? Because she has some things that you can say to try to figure out in an instant how you feel about certain things. So for listeners who are listening to this, they go, okay, I really want to get my fucking mindset right. What, you know, say something that they can ask themselves either right now, and I'll include a couple minutes of silence, or something that they can do after they listen to this. What's a couple things that they can say to themselves right now?
The first one is saying the statement, I am enough. Because if you have a reaction to it, like if your body responds, so here, let's go back, because we want to calibrate first. So first, state your name. My name is Annie. And then check if your body has a response to that. My name is Annie. I love Annie. As corny as that sounds, state your name. I love Annie. Does your body have any response? Does it feel empty? Because if you're dissociated from your own body, you're not going to be able to manifest that goal. You have to be in the present moment. If you're caught in the past, caught in the future, you're not going to be able to achieve it. So, my name is Annie. I love Annie. I am enough. And if you respond to I am enough in a way that pulls you back or feels constricting or pings your head or something that where you feel a little bit of pain, we have to look at that as I am enough. I am enough. If it's coming from a place of lack, there's going to be self-sabotage. I don't even have to ask the question of do you deserve it? I already have the answer. So we have to first fill that I am enough piece. And once you get that I am enough, like I am enough right now, I have everything I need right now in this moment, and if you truly confidently believe that, then it's easier to add on top of it. But if that's not there, if that's broken or wobbly, then I can't put anything on top of it. We can't add to it. We have to come back down and strengthen that level before we can move up, before we can get to the big stuff, before we can start manifesting $100,000 this, or $1 million that, whatever that may be for the person, for you as an audience member. we have to come back down. And like levels, we have to like a video game, we have to complete level 3 before we can get to level 4. So those would be my top 3 questions first.
And as you were talking, I'm like thinking, I am enough, and I'm like, and so I don't like that. First of all, that doesn't make me feel good about me. But I mean, but the thing is that, you know, you got to practice what you preach. And this is why I'm telling you that this is so important, even though it seems like maybe it has nothing to do with the other.
Oh, it absolutely has everything to do with the other. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, Jeff Bezos wasn't like, yeah, I'm not enough. I need to work harder. I guarantee you he was like, I am enough. I got this shit.
I'm a fucking rock star.
And I'm going to build on this fucking rock star, and I'm going to build it so big that I'm going to own the world.
The world, yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. He had that vision at the very beginning. You can see when people were interviewing him 20-something years ago, there was that piece in him that was like, I know I got this. Mm-hmm. I may not be able to articulate to you why I got this. It may not be appropriate for me to tell you that I'm going to fucking dominate the world, but I'm going to dominate the world. He already knew that. When we look at Olympic gold medalists, when you look at them at 9 years old or 10 years old, they already think they're Olympic gold medalists. They're not saying, I want to strive to become one. They're like, I am the 9-year-old Olympic gold medalist, and my time to prove that may be 8 years from now. Mm-hmm. But I am an Olympic gold medalist. They already have that embedded in their mind. They already cleared out that other shit. It's not even cleared. They
plowed through it. And nothing,
hyper-focus.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they're the best of the best, right?
Yeah.
America, fuck yeah. I mean, we're not great in everything, but
no, we're not great at a lot of things.
Yeah, but the couple things we do when we get a gold medal, America, fuck yeah. So with that said, Annie and I are going to be working on some stuff for you guys to try to give you a better understanding of marrying the emotional and the financial side of it. And so you're going to be hearing from Annie again for sure. And, you know, 2022 is going to be a pivotal year. I don't know what's going to happen. There's always going to be another variant. But, you know, there's a lot of energy moving right now because there's a lot of people, like we discussed on the Is There a Labor Shortage episode, and even going farther back to that, the $15 minimum wage episode that we did this year, year 2021, that I got a whole bunch of shit about because I was talking about the benefits of a $15 minimum wage. But now look how many fucking companies have to offer $15 minimum wages to get employees in the door. I'm not saying I'm great, but I'm just saying I'm a little great. And so the thing is that we're going to help you guys put these things together in a way, because I want to help you guys go from wherever you're at right now to whatever your finishing post is, whether it's, you know, retiring early or buying a home or, you know, squeezing out a kid or whatever. Starting a business, whatever it is. And we're going to have to attack it on multiple fronts. Now, this is just so my listeners understand, for 2022, this is going to be the show layout. Zoe and I are still going to be doing episodes where we take deep dives into things that you might not understand. We're going to be looking at the difference between a corporation filing bankruptcy versus a personal person declaring bankruptcy, because they're different and they have different rules and they play by different rules than we do. And so you need to understand that, right? But within that, we're going to be weaving where there's just going to be little segments of me, 20 to 30 minutes, just going, okay, this, if you're here, this is what you need to start doing. This is how you need to do that. And we're going to weave that in with Annie, because as you're putting a financial plan around your life and discovering your objectives, one of the things that you need to do is you need to keep making sure that your emotions are right. And your emotions are going in line with all of your other habits. And so for those who want to reach out to Annie, how can they get a hold of you?
If you can spell the first part of my last name, I can't even see my board behind me. Emprima, I am the only, literally, there is only one Emprima. So if you type in Emprima, it's going to bring you to oneemprima.com or at oneemprima on the social media. The easiest thing, just look for Emprima, Emprima.
And for us, You can, of course, find us on Finance is the Other F Word on all our social media. You can follow us on TikTok at FTOFW_podcast. You can check us on our YouTube channel at Finance is the Other F Word. We are also live on Twitch, and so the schedule is going to be posted there. So if you guys have, if we have, a guest speaker coming up or somebody we're interviewing that you really want to be able to get in there and ask some questions, I got to tell you guys, we got some unbelievable guests coming up this year. As a matter of fact, I'm a little in awe that they're coming on the show, but they have agreed to it, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And so the thing is that we're gonna be changing it up a little bit in 2022 because I want to help move everybody to a better place. And the best thing I can do is try to educate people as most as possible. And with that, this will be airing before New Year. So this will be our final episode of 2021. Fuck you and goodbye. And for those of you who have been listening this year, or if you're new on board, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and listening to us and giving the show a chance. Please stay with us and give me all your feedback. I don't care if it's bad or, well, I do care if it's bad, but I mean, I'll read it anyway.
Send me the bad stuff. I'll filter it.
Yeah, she can sort it out. But with that, we are out this bitch, and happy fucking New Year.
Thank you for listening. Please check back for upcoming episodes and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Finances, the Other F Word.